Hey Desiree, how's it going? Hope your day got a little better. Sounded like you were having a rough one. Yeah, this is I actually got an email kind of out of the blue. What was it, Facebook? I don't remember. Hey, here we are, working on the cover. My pile of pens, and I started inking just some of the noodly stuff. The rocks and the debris and the stuff that I'll be adding spatter and kinds of things. It's stuff it's more visible now, but as we get further, it won't be as important. Oh, that's good. That's good. One more day till vacation. That's nice. Yeah, I pretty much have the whole work week I got to do, and then this weekend I'll be flying to see my folks. Hey, Jonathan. How goes the great baking championship in the Brown household? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you dig it so far. We've got a lot of lines to fill in and a lot of inking to put down, but right now I'm just starting with some of what I like to do is because the penciling, I've really chunked out and really filled up the space, and I have all the major large shapes already done. So what I like to do earlier in the evening is I'll go in and do some of the smaller stuff, and then I pull back as I go. Like you'll see, I'll use some sponge, I'll use some different techniques. Um, and yeah, we'll keep churning away. But yeah, I was mentioning that this was like for this cover, it was originally going to be just a pinup or whatever. It's just kind of an out of the blue message, and characters look cool, book look cool, so happy to take a shot. But, this is here just because I have a tendency to smudge everything. Maybe I can fold it in half and make it a little smaller so people can still see more of what's going on. There we go. That's probably a little better for people. I'm going to use different tools. This is just a Pitt pen. It's not a fancy pen, but it's got a fade proof ink in it. It uses pigment, and it's archival and all that good stuff. Which means it shouldn't fade. And the other tools I have that I use a lot, I use these are Sable brush pens, Kiritaki. They're Japanese. They're great. I've got Crow Quill. This is the classic tool of the cartoonist. They've been used for 100 years. Basically, every major inker that was a pen person used a crow quill, like a Hunt 102. This is actually a Speedball brand because those Hunt ones are tough to track down, and those are pretty much good for one sitting, and then they're shot. So But yeah, I had to pack a lot in, so the figures are a little smaller, but hopefully when we get the whole thing put together with the title above it and everything is shrunk down, it'll really have a cohesive look. You'll see that I've spotted the black ink areas to really draw the eye to the center, and that was really my thought process behind it. Today I had a zillion things to do, and it just seems like I've just run out of time every day this week. I've got a convention I'm doing in New Orleans in January, and I had to ship some stuff out so that I got there in time for me to pick up. My wife has family there, and they said I could, instead of packing the suitcase filled with comic books, I could mail a box and they'd hold it for me. Yeah, and I've been booking shows and working on next year's um, appearances, and it's always tough doing all the stuff that goes into planning everything for the next year. Lots of work just to show up and draw pictures and sell funny books. Some people have agents and stuff like that, but it's just me. As as the Bruce would say, it's just me, baby. Let's get the brush pen because I much prefer the fluid line. I know people don't notice it as much anymore because nowadays, like, these fluid lines are usually digital, so they have like a stiffness to them. But you can see once you get the brush primed, it gets this nice sharp finish to it. Put the cat back; it helps me balance it. It is. And it's. I don't know. It's crazy signing up for a convention in January. I usually don't do a show until the springtime, but it was an opportunity to do a show I haven't done, new experience, and having family in the area that my wife could visit, while I was there. So it had some benefits to it, but it's a quick turnaround, especially with all the projects on the docket, everything that's being planned for the year, or at least trying to be, you know, best laid plans, right? Who did I say was going to be there? Ron Wilson's going to be there, so I was going to definitely bring like a Marvel 2-in-1 or something to get signed. I've met Ron a couple of times before. He's a nice guy. I just read a lot of his comic books as a kid. And who's the other person I was seeing on the list? Bill Morrison, guy that did all the Simpsons comics. 2-in-1 trips are good because, like, you know, trips to visit family are expensive, and if I can get a convention to hopefully, if it's a good show, it helps cover the way, make some money there to cover the expenses of the trip. That's how I've always visited my folks out in Ohio. I usually line up a convention out there in the summertime, stop in, see my folks, do a show. The Gem City show up in Dayton's a great show. Great show. I had a couple of shows reach out to me and invite me that I'm just trying to figure out how much it would cost to get myself there, or I don't always get like hotel travel comped or anything like that. Sometimes I do, which is great, and I say yes to those immediately. But when I have to plan everything and see how much a flight is, and if I need to rent a car, depending on how far it is from the airport, and what the local tax laws are when it comes to sales and stuff for visiting artists, because it's different in every state. And I don't know if you've been following my posts about the AI art stuff, but I was on the phone, or I was on the horn. I was messaging back and forth with my website provider, and they seem to have the ability to have images that aren't searchable, and won't show up in these AI training databases. So that's kind of the new frontier I'm working on with that. They sent me a ton of things I got to read. I haven't read them yet, but I plan to. And it sounds promising to where I can still have my website, have it be free, and people can still see my artwork. But all they have to do probably is to see like the full images without a watermark or whatever, is just create a free login. And I won't charge anything. I won't do anything with the email addresses. It's just so that you can log in, and it's another barrier that prevents those data mining sites from stealing our work. And they stole my work. And I've been writing an article, which I'm hoping to be done with by the end of the year, about this whole situation and things I've learned. And what I'm doing, things I've learned, all that stuff. And I hope it helps other artists. That's the idea, is that like everyone's just seems to be confused, and I don't blame them. It's been very confusing for me, but like, I can't sit there and do nothing. So it really does. The fact that, someone who's worked like me, like I've never worked for Marvel. I've never worked for Marvel. I understand that there are Tick fans all over the world, but like, I didn't think it would be so prevalent in the AI training software. I saw a year's worth of my work, sitting in there. The art is stolen. It is trained using artists' work. And how it works is I'll try not to bore everybody, but basically it looks at an image and it assigns numeric value to composition, color, layout, anatomy. Obviously, it struggles with that, but like it doesn't know what those things are. All it knows is a bunch of numbers that it maps out to an image. Like this cover. Like if we were to upload this cover, it would assign a whole bunch of numbers and keywords to everything that it recognizes. And then when those keywords and numbers are addressed by one of those prompts, it takes a whole bunch of those things, mixes them up, and puts them through filters and basically puts a veneer over it, and it makes it look like a semi-cohesive image to someone who doesn't know artwork. But it absolutely does. It trains via our work. It would not exist without our work. And the other thing is like, it still needs people to tell it does a good job. They are creepy. They are very creepy. Basically when a person picks the final image, that's when the AI is told, "Good job." Like, it's like a pat on the head, and it refines itself. Then when someone asks for a similar prompt, it goes for more towards what that person previously approved. At least that's how it's been explained to me by much smarter people than I am. I had to it's I had to listen, I had to read. I'm still reading. And I like all the straw man arguments out there, and they make up stuff like, "Oh, every artist steals IP," and things like that, and, we don't. We really don't all, and they just sound like fools, and they don't know how dumb they sound. As you can see, I don't normally get worked up over much, but this has me like a little, angry potato. But I am working on an article, and I have a couple of websites that I'm going to try to probably submit it to. My buddies over at Comic Crusaders have always supported me, and I think that they would be, responsive to putting up the article that I write. Oh, thank you very much. You guys are there. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but thank you. We're just having some fun with some inking tonight. And, when I was a kid, just learning how to do comics, I hated inking. I hated it. It was so hard. I had no idea what I was doing. And I am wearing a Santa hat, actually. What, can you see it? Can you see the Santa hat? Yes. It's a Boston Bruins Santa hat, sir. I am the Christmas big Christmas nut in the house. I love the holidays. Happy Hanukkah to everyone celebrating Hanukkah. I think yesterday was the first day, or the day before. Yesterday, I think. Look at those nice lines that sable gets you. Man, get get the sable. Don't get the synthetic. Get the sable. Those little weasels from the Adirondacks or Russia or wherever they track those little weasels down and turn them into brush hairs. I live in like a 3-level apartment building, and they're replacing the roof on it. And let me tell you, it was a loud day of roof replacement. I just hope that means I can, get my bucket back from the hallway for the leak above the stairs soon. But as you can see, this is see, every now and again it picks up a little bit of dust, and you lose your tip, and that's why I keep coming back to prime it over here. There's definitely some eraser dust. Penny didn't mind it too much, to be honest. Like he's pretty good with like noise. Like he's not scared of like the vacuum cleaner or the fireworks and Fourth of July that people shoot off out of their freaking backyard in the neighborhood here. I think those bother me much more than Penny because I'm always worried that they have no idea what they're doing with explosives. The houses are really close together. Yeah, but as I was saying earlier, when I was a kid, I hated inking, and now it's honestly probably one of my favorite parts of the process because I don't know, I don't think of it as a separate thing anymore, and I'm not trying to make it slick. I'm not trying to get that slick image comicsy type look. I think of it as a continuation of the drawing. Not sure we'll get done tonight because this is a lot of work here, but we'll take a good bite out of it. And see, like right there, that line along the edge of the boot. If Douglas is still in there, he'll know that like when I look at this cover, when it's done, I'm gonna look at that boot and be like, "That's a good line right there," because of the way it tapers down, and then at the break, there's a little split, and then it comes back and it tapers again. Like that's a hard line to do. Everyone's gonna be like, "What are you talking about? It's just a boot." Like, I don't know if anyone else is a fan of Jeff McComsey. He's a artist and a graphic novelist and writer. He does all his own work. Um, he posted on Twitter the other day that baseball bats are sneaky difficult to draw, and I couldn't agree with him more. They are difficult to draw. They're tapered. They're simple forms, but they are difficult to draw in. Oh, I couldn't repeat that. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. But I'll be able to be like, you know what? That was a solid line. That just right along the edge of that boot. Nobody else is going to care, especially when the sucker's shrunk down. Army helmets, seriously. Yeah, those are another one. And you'd think that, oh, they're just a freaking helmet. No. Like when you have to draw that on somebody's head, it's like, and then you can already see how wrong this is because like it if you that's more like just his skull. So now you got to raise it up, and it's actually like then they start looking like uh, what was the little Martian from the Flintstones with the giant head? Hey, Peter, thanks for popping in. Yes, welcome to Human Made Drawings. I know you are also a purveyor of human made drawings. It's what we specialize in. The Great Kazoo. There you are. Yep. I have a tendency to draw the helmets, and true also for like men's dress hats. I do better with women's hats because they actually tend to just be bigger. So it's like it's tough to make them too small, but men's hats, like I have a hard time with those. Yep. Yep, you're totally right. Army helmets, man. Army helmets. There should be like a merit badge you get when you draw one of those correctly or something. Like when whether it's on Facebook or whatever, if you say congratulations and you click it and there's like a little graphic that animates it, it should be like you drew the helmet right, and then makes a little like confetti, like yay. Make up for all the crippling depression caused by the screwed up hats and helmets I've drawn over the years. And then even with the brush lines, I'll go in if I see that it needs just a little tiny bit. It's a lot easier to add just a little more to the taper with a pen than it is to go back in with the brush. Because anytime I go back in with the brush, it tends to completely uh, go off the rails for me. Like I'll add too much ink, or it'll just just yeah. I can't control it enough for like a refining of a line. But yeah, there are links to the folks that are putting this book out, and they're very new to the comics world. Seem like nice people. So this is just their second book that they've ever done, and I you know I love helping folks. It's part of the whole thing of the live drawing, and also my panel, the Making Comics panel, is getting people resources and helping them to make their comic books. Yes, 3 instances. I would maybe add, for me personally, um, wine glasses also. Martini glasses are just basically it's a lot easier because it's that sliced, conic section, but, like, wine glasses, man. And that one I end up getting at calls for more often to draw because it's just, like, people sipping drinks or whatever, and you can only draw the highball glass for so many characters, I guess. We're all drinking whiskey. No wine here. And how many comics have you opened where there's like a poorly drawn beer mug? And look, I know we able to go super fast on this, but hey, like especially for a piece like this, I'll finish inking it and then I'll put together a what do you call it, a time lapse, and it'll look like it only took me seconds to draw this cover. Instead of just having when I was working out the idea on the cover, I was given some background info and some reference. Um, One of the things I always think of in the storytelling is just like what's going on, and I try to come up with even on variant covers where they've told me like no, it's just basically a pinup. And yes, I've been told that. I try to have some story, even if it isn't something that is necessarily in the comic. It's something that I could see the characters doing. And in this case, he's, taking some damage. They're being attacked by this Anubis character. And his shirt's beat up. He doesn't have his weapons. Stuff's missing. And I just noticed I forgot to add something to her costume. And it's going to bug me if I don't. She has like a knife on her belt. And that means I'm going to have to break out the ruler. Straight lines. It's got a cool little handle on it. For this part, and this is just inking 101 when we're getting to the end here of something that's going to be on an underside, away from the light source. Nice thick chunky line there. But yeah, most of my time has been getting prepped, doing some design work, getting prepped for the shows, booking shows, and this AI stuff, looking at the tax laws for the states that I've been invited to for conventions and figuring out if I can manage to do more with my production schedule that I have. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. I still got to wrap some Christmas presents for the missus. I got to get that done probably tomorrow night. At least she's good about not looking for presents. My old man, who's 60 years old, if you leave presents out, he will open them, look at them. He will look for presents. That's something my mother has had to deal with since 1978 when they got married. I always wanted to be surprised, so I didn't want to look. Yeah, once I found these Kuretake brush pens, I gave up on my Raphael brushes. I was a Raphael brush guy once the Winsor Newtons were not doing the job anymore. A friend of mine turned me onto the Raphael ones, And I'll be honest, the sable on these brush pens is just as good as the stuff I was getting on the Raphaels. I don't think it's better, but one of the things that makes it better as a product or a tool for me is I don't have to keep going back and forth to the ink. And thus it like you don't realize how much time that saves you until you use one of these things to ink, a page in, especially if you're a heavy brush user. In I'm not saying it's half the time or anything, but it saves you a measurable amount of time. And it's just going back and forth to the danged inkwell over and over and over again. And if they start clogging on you, you take the top off and you just put it in a dish of water and then you just let it soak overnight, put it back on, it's ready to go. I wish I could be less precious about these stupid lines sometimes because, like, I look at like an artist that I really liked recently is Tom Sutton, and his line is just so it's fearless. He's just throwing it down, and he's not worrying about the finish or the smoothness of anything. It's just this is what's coming out of his pen, and he's just going to throw it down. And I have a lot of admiration for folks that can put down a visceral line and stick to it. And I can do it with my own stuff sometimes. I've been practicing it, and it's rough, man. But I really like it. It retains an energy that I think that sometimes when I'm doing like these smooth bits, um, I can lose some of that energy. This is not the one I was using. That's an older pen. This one has a better tip. Yep. And I think part of it comes from I look too closely at the 11 by 17, and I'm not always thinking about the shrunk down version. It's tough to get out of my own head sometimes. But we got a bunch of folks in here right now. I just want to say thanks for everybody for popping in. I am doing that giveaway over on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, when I get to 100, I've got 87 subscribers right now. I get to 100, I'm going to auction or raffle off a original either sketch cover or watercolor from my website. We'll pick a good one. I don't pick out the lemons. I give away the good stuff. It drives my wife nuts. I just figured, I'll just draw another one. Hey, Allison, good to see you. I know you've been busy. Thanks for popping in. No special guests like you had on your podcast last week, your live stream, hanging out with Mr. Finch there. But we're working on it, right? Now, one of the things that I tend to draw on characters, which I found funny that I've been asked to remove on more than one occasion, I tend to draw like hair on people's arms and stuff. I'll give them body hair, and I've had editors tell me to take it out, which I found every time I find it hilarious. Yeah, that would be cool. Daniel Warren Johnson, one of the top artists in the industry right now. And Sean does beautiful work. One of the things I've accepted about, well, and me, well, I'll be the fill-in guy if one of them can't make it. I'd be happy to, but I'll be happy to be on there. I'm hoping to have, Eli Stone and maybe Gabe and, my buddy Jeff. Get some other folks on here. I just want to hang out with my friends. Oh, and you too, yeah. And if we get good at it, if anybody wants to on yours, yeah, that would be fun. We got a good plan for ours. I like the plan for the you pop it on my channel here very soon. Yvel Guichet actually posted the Helena piece he did for me, and he was asking if it was going to be the cover or a pinup, and I told him I think it's going to be the back cover because he drew the characters and the detail all the way to the top. There wasn't room to put the title, and I just can't bring myself to put anything over his work. It's just so beautiful. I'm not going to do, you can see there's a cast shadow here from the light source, but I'm not going to put that down until the end because I'm going to use something other than a brush pen to put that down because I want there to be some texture. I'll probably use either some sponge or I'll actually scratch it in there. But that's one of the things you can see. On this paper lately, it's going to be fun. I'm going to make a nice graphic. We'll share it. I'll probably get that over to you in the next couple days. It's not going to be like the one I did for this one. We'll both be on there. I got to design something new, shiny and new. But as I was saying earlier about my drawing stuff, one of the things that I've been for your piece, I'd be happy to. Yeah, that would be fun. I'm not going to be able to get that sucker done on your show. I'm slow as molasses with that stuff, but I'm no longer trying to draw real. I'm trying to draw expressive and or design illustrative type stuff. And I'm not thinking about style. I'm thinking about story, and however it comes out, it comes out. Like that's what I'm trying to get to. Oh, right. For this, they asked for digital colors, so I'll be doing digital color on this thing. Um, and I'm actually, even though I know they have their own title treatment, it's kind of like an obsession of mine, doing the graphic design with it. And I actually have a plan for, the redemption, um, title treatment. And they don't have to use it, but I'm still gonna design it and send it with one just so that I can let my brain rest. Yeah, yeah, and it can be hard. It can definitely be hard. I think this has to, because there's going to be weight behind it. I think we have to push this back. This is a similar tool as the other one. This is just an older one, and I use it just for fill. Like all this, I just use for fill. So I don't have to go back and forth to the inkwell. If you want to, there's no pressure whatsoever. It's just something that I have become obsessed with, doing on covers. Even when I did, oh, thank you very much, Allison. Thank you for sharing it. And anybody that shares it, I'm just very thankful because it's like, I like doing these. I like hanging out with you guys, and it's become a really important thing to me just to be here with you folks, and it helps me do my work, and it helps me just with my mental sanity, hanging out with you folks. It's a it's something I'm really thankful for. And I'm not saying that as like any sort of BS marketing ploy. You guys are wonderful. I don't know if you noticed, I'm not good at marketing, um, but I'm learning. I'm reading, always trying to get better at stuff. Waiting on a Blick order. They're usually pretty quick. I actually have to place a jet pens order myself. I got to get some more pencil lead. I'm starting to run low, and if I run out of pencil lead, that's bad. I would be in a mood. That would be up there with like those commercials where it's like you're not the same when you're hungry. Whatever, whichever candy bar that was. I drove to the Blick in Providence a couple of months ago. It's not a gigantic Blick, but they had a pretty good selection, and they had the one thing I will say that they had that was really good was, and it was actually a very nice young lady who pointed it out to me that was working there. They have an end cap with clearance stuff on it, and it was actually useful stuff. It was not junk, and that was great. And I always point out that they have Bristol board at Ocean State Job Lot. That's where I sometimes get cheaper Bristol board. Yeah, I'm hoping I can get these inks done tomorrow. I can get this thing colored pretty quickly for you guys. Today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, I might not be able to get it to you till after Christmas. My parents would yell at me if I was coloring on Christmas Day. I can at least get you the scans, so then you can have the line art. But yeah, when I was sick, I was supposed to be working on this last week when I had to cancel my stream because I was sick, but they were kind enough to push it back a little bit for me. Anybody that knows me knows I am a deadline nut, and I'm one that people call when someone else isn't hitting a deadline. So uh, very thankful for the extra little padding when I got sick. That was really nice. Do I need a flatter? For a cover, I don't think so, unless you really want to do it. You know, Jesse usually does the flats for me, but if you want to take the gig, I can probably swing that. Jesse Lundberg, a local artist. I don't know if you've met him. He's a really, really nice fella, and he did an Iron Face cover. He actually got a vendor to get an Iron Face cover. And speaking of creator-owned books that I've worked on and made, I just got a message from IRF Authentics. They're the folks that did the Acts of Helena variant for that subscription box, and people are starting to get their graded books back. And we just had our first 9.9 for people who are into graded books and stuff. The printer I use has been known to get 10s, so I'm actually expecting, based on how many were submitted, to see at least one or two. And that's it. And the wild thing about graded comics that I find is that it doesn't when you get a grade like that, it almost doesn't matter what the book is. And like obviously a key book is, much more valuable if you get like one of those crazy grades. But like, you know, it's such a rare number to see that collectors will just buy the grade, which is interesting to me. I actually had a couple of books graded. I submitted, and I got like a couple of 9.8s, and I think like a 9.4 or a 9.6. And I think one of them is still available on my website. But I got two Helena books and a Red Sonja book graded. Cody Lockwood. He does the Lockwood loot page. He works for CBCS, and he helped me out getting that set up. I'm not a graded book person as far as my collection goes, but I realize some people love them. And even actually, one of them was bought. I had one purchased by a friend of mine, and I knew him as a reader for years, and he just wanted to have a graded book, and it was pretty cool. It's not for me, but I was happy to provide it for people who are into that stuff. It just took me a while to figure out how to do it, and I needed some help. And Cody was a very nice guy, and he helped me out. I have two graded books in my collection, a Hulk 181 Sen. I mean, those are two pretty good books to have in your collection, I would say. And the good thing about it, if you have those slabbed, is that like they've reprinted them so many times so that you can get whether it's an issue of X-Men Classic or whatever. Doug, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you about it at some point. Yeah, he walked me through how to do it through the website of CBCS, so I just do it straight through there. Like if somebody wanted one of my sketch covers or something graded, I could submit it directly, yeah, and it's got all kinds of extra features and stuff. Like if you wanted a custom label or if you wanted something specific written on it, I think they'll do that. And they give me faster turnarounds. So another thing I'm starting to do, and it's another thing that like is kind of archaic in its nature, other than the hand lettering that you've seen me with my I think I've got it right here. My Ames guide. Hey, if you guys want me to do a hand lettering stream, if that would not be boring to you, I would be happy to show you, give you an Ames guide lesson for the folks out there. But doing paste ups, I've started doing paste ups of logos and stuff, and I might even do it on this one where I print out the logo, the title, and everything that would be on it, and put it either on a transparency over the top, or I would put it on a. It is kind of a lost art that people don't really do because it takes a long time. Um, and digital is just faster. But Pat Brusa, the letterer, posted on Twitter a survey to have people guess how long that letterers are usually given to letter a comic book, and I think that mostly people who make comics answered it knew the answer of it being like a couple days. So like they literally have a couple of days to do things. Pasting those word balloons with rubber cement for this, yeah, I would old fashioned, just everything, either that or I could use if I wanted to be, I guess snooty about it, I could use archival double stick tape, which I have also. Yeah, a day maybe two, and that's pretty much it anymore. And that's why I see so much lettering in modern comics that just like, and I'm not saying this is because the letterers don't have design sense. I'm just saying like it's just so quickly done that like I don't think they have time to do everything, and then they have to deal with edits and probably unpaid edits. This is her one boot that's kind of bent here, and then you have her heel coming up a little bit on this boot as her weight is back here. You can see where, if you know where balance points are, uh, her balance point is right about here, And I probably should have pushed it back a little further to make it a little more dynamic, but I also have the gun, like, she's putting her weight forward. It's this weird moment in time where, like, the weight distribution is a little off. Let's see if I can get this boot to do what I want it to do. You took a Cuber class on lettering. It was all done with the Ames guide. Sweet. These are just Pitt pens, the Faber-Castell. Although somebody told me they were going to discontinue them, which I shuddered to hear. Because I really don't like microns at all. But I do have a crow quill. My only advice for folks that want to use a crow quill on their inking for the most part is just make sure you get good paper. It doesn't really matter what kind of ink you use, but the paper is going to really affect the final product. I will be honest, I tend to use like a Pitt pen or something when I'm doing my basic lettering on by hand. It's too much work to use the. They always split. They always break, and then when you push down at all on them, the tip goes into the pen a little bit, and it gets rock hard. Like there's no flex left to it. But anyway, another episode of artists complaining about gear. It's like, golfers blaming the clubs sometimes. As you can see, what I'm doing as I go along is I am doing some erasing because I tend to smudge and make a mess. I'm trying not to. I'm trying very hard not to make a mess on this because this is one of the rare instances where I'm actually going to be parting with the original. I know. So hope my wife's not watching. But because this is one of their first books, I think it's other artists have done it for me, so I will do it for them. I do. I tend to keep I have all my covers from Ninja Turtles. I have all my covers from, G.I. Joe, Vampirella, all that stuff. I kept all of those. Go Power Rangers. I actually took my Power Rangers cover to San Diego with me the first time, and I had the editors and everybody that was at the Power Rangers signing sign it for me. Doug, that's right. I can agree. And I also, like, I've tried using, I was watching Joe Kubert and a couple other artists just inking on YouTube, and they weren't using crow quills and they weren't using 102s. They were using, and I kid you not, they were using the lettering nibs and the calligraphy nibs to do these drawings. He was drawing Hawkman with a lettering nib. It just goes to show it's generally, like, I don't know, the operator can figure it out if it's at all possible, but Yeah, I think we have to. I think we have to spotlight that one, Douglas. Yeah, I just get so attached to these things. I really do. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. It's. But when it comes to like the published stuff and the stuff I really pour my guts into, I just have a hard time letting go of some of that stuff. And I used to be the opposite. I used to be like, when I was in when I did fine art, I was like, um, I was all about just having no artwork around at all and selling it all off. I was pretty good at it back in the day, but like, I don't know, getting sappy, I guess. The ones with the little round bit on the end, those are the ones that you've used for drawing. You've got the little like, I don't know what you call it, like the eyedropper bit on the end there. It's a pretty good knife handle because it's not just a straight thing, it's got like tapering to it. I did not know that. Behind the scenes with Arsenic Lullaby, the early years. That's why we need an artist's edition of the early pages so that we can see all the scotch tape and popsicle sticks. Hey, Michael, thanks so much. Working hard on all those little details and the Egyptian motif I wanted to have. This is actually a piece that I referenced and changed it, some. But there's a very large statue. If you're ever at the New York Museum of Art, there's an Egyptian wing, and then there's this giant room you walk into, and they basically have this giant stolen, portion of a building in there, and it's got water and everything, and it's breathtaking. It's like it's one of those things that I was glad I got to see it in person, but it's obviously there by dubious circumstances. And these are characters that I've never met before I tried doing the layout. And I do have a hard time with new characters sometimes, but the archetypes seem strong, and the descriptions were easy to understand. So it was a lot easier to dive in on these characters than some of the other ones I've got another cover coming up that is totally. Am I getting static? Are you guys getting static? If it's sometimes that happens on Facebook. I can do the one fix that I know how to do. All right, let me try this. Hold on, give me two shakes. How's that? Is that better? Hello? Hello, hello. Cool. That's my one fix. If unplugging it and plugging it back in doesn't work, I got nothing. Cool. But I actually have as I was mentioning earlier, I have a cover that is totally out of my comfort zone. But I used to do funny little cartoons, so it's actually more like a funny animal cover that I'll be doing, which that'll be fun. It's a new challenge for me. It's not something you see too much anymore. Yeah, I could get into a headspace where I understood what was going on, and that's sometimes it's one of the easiest things to not have go on. I've had so many confusing characters come across my desk over the years, and I'm sure they're pulling from things that I'm just not aware of. Like I get a lot of people asking me to do stuff that clearly has a lot of anime influence, even though my work is not anime. I just know how popular it is, and people are asking. People are obviously inspired and influenced by this stuff. Um, I just don't know the references, so I have a hard time putting them together and remixing them with my own sauce or whatever you want to call my style. Like I've got a list of shows I've got to send to you that I've been possibly invited to. Let's see if you're gonna hit up any of those, or I could possibly get spots at them. I don't know. I always like to. Hey, glad you like that one. That's I don't know how else to think of it. But then again, I did just make spaghetti tonight, so and being like we are, we make it from scratch from just canned tomatoes. So we make the sauce. We make it the sauce, as my wife would say, who is Italian and would make fun of ridiculous Italian Mario-esque accents rampantly. Commenting on the stereotypes, yes. Yep. You're Italian as well. Right on. My wife likes to use the term for herself of Olive Garden Italian, not like full blown Italian. That's right, Douglas. Oh, okay, so you have the full blooded Italian. I imagine your family would find my attempts at making. Does your family refer to it as sauce or gravy? Sauce. Okay. People will play Mario Kart all day, then bitch about the Malaysian accent in a cartoon. I just put potatoes on everything. I'm Irish after all. Yeah, I think we'll get a fellow Irish person in here probably at some point with Mr. J. Kennedy, and he'll put his 2 cents in as far as Italian cuisine goes. There was one time. See, and actually, my wife's family refers to it as gravy. They are Boston Italian. I don't know. It's North Shore, out near Kelly's Roast Beef. You have England. It's gonna be tough to top the level of Irish that Jay is. McGlone's pretty Italian name as well. Yeah. I was fed Douglas. I was fed raviolis and gravy the first time I met that part of the family. Special raviolis and gravy, and they were from the local market, the local Italian market. My mother was McLaughlin. Yep, that would I think that would qualify as Italian. It's tough for me to not think of my buddy Jay though, as far as yeah, Boston Irish. Yep. There was one time, I had a favorite pub in town, and he did not like it so much because they did not have mashed potatoes every day. They would have it with their specials. If they had bangers and mash, they would have mash that day, but you couldn't get mashed potatoes with your hamburger or whatever on random Tuesday night. I just found that quirk very funny. I could show you guys what I got him for Christmas, but he might pop in just exactly as I'm spoiling the surprise. Oh, you are with Jay on that one. Okay, okay. All right. All right. Not as crazy as I thought it was. Desiree is half Italian, but talk 100% with your hands. Yes. Yep. Thanks. The nuns beat it out of you. Yeah, yeah. I think Jay just ran away from the nuns. No, he did not. He went to where did he go? He went to Boston Latin. So yeah, he was at a he did not go to school in Southie. A friend of mine gave me some Copic refillable pens. I'm gonna try to use them sometime soon. Yeah, Dr. Minetta, I've messed around with those a little bit. I hope they work well for you. I just, I got used to just the feeling of the pit pens. They just have a nice the way they pull on the paper and the way the ink comes out. It's a nice solid line. Um, and it's just it has a nice soft feel to it. I don't know how else to describe it. But whatever works for people. I mean, it's a inking. I think of as an extension of drawing. I'm sure the people that ink really slick just cringed if they heard that, but it was Howard Chaykin and Joe Kubert, actually of the Kubert school, as everybody knows, that's used the phrase of it's an extension of drawing. So, however you can finish a drawing and get it to where it needs to be, I don't think it matters what you use. I really don't, as far as inking tools go. Because if we get to it, you'll see me using sponge. I'll be using all kinds of stuff on the background. I'm going to use my fingerprint to push some stuff further back and get a nice, because you can use the waves of your fingers to get this nice screen almost. If I had enough Zipatone, which I don't, I've been using Zipatone lately too because I bought a few sheets of that, the Japanese stuff, and that's been a blast to play with. I would need a book to budget for Zipatone because of how expensive it is. It would irritate the bloody hell out of me when Tony Soprano would say "pass the gravy" with a nasally sleep apnea accent. I have not watched an episode of The Sopranos in a very long time. I think I caught part of an episode. I just didn't fall in love with that show, and I'm not as into like the mob stories. My old man loved that show. He loved The Godfather and all that stuff. And I don't know. Excuse me. Thank you. Where do we usually order your Zipatone from? I found out recently that there's a larger selection available in Japan and what's sold here in the States. That's correct. I order from them from a site that imports them from Japan called Jet Pens. Let me see if I have my envelope here. I don't think I do. Oh, yes, I do. Here it is. This is called Deleter brand. This is Deleter Junior. Each one of these sheets costs like $6, and they're like letter sized. Now, obviously, like you have to use it judiciously, but yeah, jet pens. And that's where I get my my drawing leads, because I use the Uni brand because it's much easier to erase, and it comes in, the blue that I prefer. So yeah, I find that the blue around here is really waxy and it does not erase at all. Was it the Bic brand blue or whatever it is? The Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I wouldn't know that. I assumed it was just because it's the brand I've seen around the most that manga artists use it. But I shared a picture actually on my Instagram, and it showed up on Facebook, and you can see a drawing of a cat that I did that I used the stuff on. I did a full page of that, and I've got another one that I'm finishing. Um, but yeah, it's got a beautiful look to it. It works great. If you, I will say, if you overlap two screens, you're going to get those moire patterns, and you'll see it when you reprint it. Because I did an experiment separate from the page that I did just to see if it was still true. Because on the old ones, whether it was Letratone or Zipatone, you get those what they call moire patterns when you overlap multiple screens, and it does. I've never seen white Zipatone, Doug. Yeah, have you used that stuff? I know they used to make it because I've seen it on old art, but I've never seen it out in the wild to give it a try. Sometimes you go with a finer point with a different brand, it still doesn't give you a finer line. Let's see if the O1 will do it. Yeah, there we go. See, it was like one of my life's quests to find Zipatone and use it, just because I love old comics, and they have a look that I tried to mimic with like the digital screens. And at that time, and I'm sure they're better now, but at the time when I was really endeavoring to do this, they just didn't work. Like the screens, you even times when I had scanned in old sheets of Letratone or partial zips, it just didn't look right coming out of Photoshop. I'm sure now it's a zillion times better, but like I have little pieces of Zipatone from cutting it out still on my desk. And I feel like that's part of the comic experience from what, I've read from years of reading all these books. I'd be interested to know if that even works, like for what I would need. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I'm working on some stuff right now that is fully colored with those retro coloring tools that I've been playing around with. So I've got several stories I've written for coming out this year. It'll be colored in that manner. Oh, cool, Mike. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I've never done that. I hope that gives you some neat results. Like I know that like Sergio still works with a fountain pen. One thing I have to avoid on this, and it's one of my faults as an artist, is I over render blonde hair. I have to leave it open. I can't just put a zillion little lines in it. So to try to keep it simple with as few lines as possible. Yeah, I've never used a fountain pen. It makes sense that it would work because you've got the flexible tip. Who was the artist that did Mary Worth? They used a fountain pen, I believe. Maybe is that the one I'm thinking of? Can't remember. Maybe it wasn't Mary Worth. It was definitely a strip artist, but again, like for speed and trying to get variations in line, that would make sense. Joe Giella. Joe Giella. I met Joe and his son at Boston Comic Con the last time I was there. They were in the back corner, and he was using a brush at the con. Now I don't know if he used that for his whole career, but he inked some Aquaman stuff that was definitely with a brush. All right, we gotta back off with the brush here because it's blonde hair. The Kuretake Sable pen, it's a great pen. I've recommended it to a lot of people. It's the Sable on it is just as good as the stuff I was paying more for on the Raphael brushes. And they didn't last as long, and I had to keep going back to the inkwell. And they are more expensive. The synthetic ones are like, if you want to just try it, the synthetic ones I think are like 25 bucks. And they're good. They just don't last. You'll get probably maybe a month out of them. But even still, that's more than I was getting out of the Raphael brushes. The Sable ones, like I'll replace it once every 6 months. Uh, just a little water. Should have made myself some more tea. But I was drinking so much tea while I was sick last week. Seriously, so much tea. It was like 2 weeks of being sick. It's not fun. Well, we just had a batch of new folks pop into the stream, so welcome. Yeah, I might have a couple lying around, man. I gave a couple to a friend of mine, and I do use my larger ones for watercolors. But yeah, the smaller ones, like the ones and zeros and stuff. All right, it's 9:41. So what do we do? Well, first thing we got to do is finish what we were doing over here. I am definitely like even though I was crackly earlier, like I at least have a strong enough voice to talk, and I'm not like walking around kind of dizzy because it was a sinus and an ear infection. So that was good fun. And I took like 4 separate COVID tests, and they were all negative. And it was just good old fashioned sick. You want a close up? Just like the pencils. See, and I knock over my brushes. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. It's like an action comic, so I felt like it had to be not really realistic, but not quite as cartoony as some of my other stuff. As fun as drawing like a big goofy No, it's just I use one of those glass yogurt containers to hold my brushes, and I reuse them for water dishes. They're like the perfect size, and they travel well. But yeah, we are working right away. But slow. One of the things that I've had to do really to improve my work is, you can see I make a mess. My hands always covered in pencil or ink or whatever. But if I erase as I go, it stays a little bit cleaner, and the board looks better at the end. Now, I finished my drinking water, but it was my brush holder. Hey, at least it wasn't a well full of ink. I've done that. I think we've all done that. And my one word of advice for cleaning up an entire inkwell is the probably the opposite of what most people think, and it's to actually keep adding water, like keep watering it down and keep the stain, especially if you're cleaning it up on a carpet. Just keep pouring water into it, and it'll water it down, and it'll slowly. You can keep pulling it up and pulling it up and pulling it up. I've gone through like roll after roll after roll of paper towels, cleaning up a spilled inkwell in carpet before. I have to stand up. I think whoever shared the stream really helped out. We had a lot of people in here so far tonight. It's been real nice. I can't tell, who's necessarily here. I've drank the paint water too, Allison. You're not alone there. Um, and again, just little cartoon language where there's three, gunshots, three cartridges clearing, and then you'll see three wounds across the Anubis here. But, obviously he'll be fine because he's, an underworld god and whatnot. Get my fill brush. There's a couple of places here where I can tell I'm going to need to make a template around some of the characters to add the spatter. He does, but I think I heard that this is a character that has been either brainwashed or confused somehow, and that's why he's all ticked off. Or maybe I invented that in my head. I don't know. The author is in attendance, so maybe they can shine a light. Controlled, yes. See, I was listening. I was listening. See, there you go, Allison. There's a spell and a magical. He is being controlled, and there's a spell and a magical item being used on him. See, there we go. Ask and ye shall receive. I'm an equal opportunity loincloth artist. I feel like I've been drawing quite a few lately with all the Helena pages I've been working on. Between her and her brother both having them. I try to read them out loud. I'm not great at that. I'm actually going to switch to my brush because we're doing some cloth here, and we can have a little bit more freedom with the lines. They can have a little more jazz to them. My college painting teacher would describe them as juicy lines. I always appreciated that descriptor. It's where you can kind of be free to let some accidents happen, and that's where I wish I could get all of my drawing to be, and be okay with when it's not exactly how I need it to be or whatever. Just let it rip. Maybe as I get older, I'll be better. An artist who made that leap, at least in from an outsider's perspective, in looking at his work, is my friend Mike Vosberg. I think earlier on in his stuff, he was trying to have like that house style or what was popular, and like he very much has like his own line. You saw it in his Charlton work when he inked himself a little bit, but like on his Lori Lovecraft stuff as it progressed, and then absolutely on the book Retro Wood that he does. And that's actually my favorite book of his that he does. He has just a prodigious output. I admire independent creators who put out so much content. Just cranking it out. But yeah, Retro Wood I dig. It's a old Hollywood detective story, and it's based on stuff that he worked in film a long time, and it's based on stuff that stories he heard, things he was told secondhand, or rumor, and he pieced it together that way, which I always thought was cool. You feel attacked. Well, you have the most precise line. I would say it's just like, and you're good at it, and I just find that I'm just not necessarily good at the precise anything. It is fun. It's he put out a graphic novel, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and he's been doing short stories in his blog and all sorts of stuff. And see if we can get a different, because we're dealing with a character that's like all dark. Let's get some different marks going. I don't know. I don't have a good name for it yet. I don't. Wrightson Wrightson Palooza, the Bernie Bash. I don't know. At some point, Doug, I'll bug you about popping on here because we figured we have broken through the technology to have more than one person on the stream. So yeah, we can come up with a theme if you like, or we can wing it. Or I'm doing one with Allison, who's in the comments there. She's a big Wrightson fan, and I think it might have been like the first thing we ever talked about at a convention was old horror comics. So it kind of harkens back to our roots. We're gonna do it focus both drawing a Bernie Wrightson style character. Maybe we could do it with like Mad Magazine. We could do a Mad Magazine theme show since you're a alum, and I can try to draw something Mad Magazine-esque. That could be fun. You see that line right there? That's you can only get that with Sable. I've tried 10 million other things, and you got to move quick. You can't just yeah. Yeah, it probably was. Maybe you know, maybe we were both hitting a dollar bin and we found some creepies or something. I don't remember. It's been so many years now. EC for the win. Hey, so still affecting the comics world as we know it. Could draw all the editors in the unemployment line. Yeah, it was a number of years ago now. If it's a sour subject, obviously we don't have to do anything. I just more of an appreciation for the cartoonists that passed through the doors, you know, post Kurtzman or during Kurtzman's era. I actually had a correspondence for a number of years with Don Edwing, who went by Duck and worked for Mad for a number of years. I missed a few comments here. Um, Mike Fonte. I seem to be getting better with my art, but I notice my stuff looks pretty vanilla. I admit I'm nervous to try to be more bold and flamboyant in finding my style. I did a Red Sonja recently, in Red Sonja practice drawing. Um, Sour subjects are my specialty. I know, Doug. I know. Style comes over time. In many ways, it's just a collection of mistakes and shortcuts. I think that deserves a spotlight right there. That is a good comment. And I would just put intent as well. Like it's that mixture soup of intent, mistake, skill. Um, yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. I have to throw a little bit of white out over there, but you may not notice when I come back in with all this silly special effects I'll do later. Yeah, yeah. Got to put in the time. And I find with my own work, the characters and pictures that I like best that I churn out are ones that um, have more exaggeration than I necessarily plan for in expression and storytelling. It's really when I can see the story that I plan in my head more than the image, when I can look at a piece and read the story. Um, that's when I'm satisfied with a piece. I never am satisfied by fancy rendering or sometimes it's nice when I get a little sharp bit here and there, but like that's not my strong suit and I'm not obsessed with it. And I'm more into the actual like what does this picture say and what do I want people to interpret from it? And if I can get that down on the page, that's what I want more than like the fancy slick rendering or anything. And that is the opposite of what many young artists, and I've even had artists come up to me and be like, this stuff is rough. I'm like, I know, yeah, that's part of the point. And I've had editors tell me to copy other artists, and I've had all kinds of, forays into things, but like it's really been in development of what do I want out of this picture. And sure, when I've taken jobs, I've had to follow style guides and crap like that, and that's just doing work you know, for a buck, or you're trying to make a name and add credits to your resume. Oh, I got my first weird bot from YouTube. How do I block those people? Got our first bot. I guess we're getting popular if we got a bot now. This must be where the cool kids hang out. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. I don't know how to do either of those things, Allison. I'm sorry. Let me. Here's the YouTube page. Hold on, I might get an echo here in a second. Let me just mute that. See, and now I don't see it on the YouTube chat. Where is it, is the question. Is that not on you? The little red triangle is YouTube. Is it on Twitter? Sorry, folks. This is not something I'm used to handling. Never had a bot show up on me like that. Yeah, it's the little play button. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'll just ignore it and hope for the best. There's only one other place I can check, and that's my website on the live drawing page. It's not there either. I don't know. Weird. I'm just going to ignore it. All right, well, let's leave it as it is. Thanks for checking, Allison. But yeah, if you want to be a mod, I'd make you a mod. I could use the help for sure. Yeah, I'll have to ask you how to do that. Anyway, we're after 10, so we have reached the turning into a pumpkin phase of the evening. I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out with me tonight. We had a lot of folks come through, and it's for this really fun book that, and I am happy to be a part of it. And we got pretty far. We got 2 figures done. We got a chunk of the background and foreground done, and I'm happy with the progress so far. It needs some tweaks here and there, but we're moving right along. And I want to tighten up a little bit. His face is good. I'm going to tighten up a little bit on the hands, I think, before I ink the hands. And then we have some smoke. We got some sponge work, and then we get to color this puppy. And it's another cover gig, and I'm very fortunate and thankful to do it. And I hope to see you all next Wednesday. And next Wednesday, we will have 2 people on the stream. It'll be Allison and myself, and we'll be doing a Bernie Wrightson themed show, both drawing something Bernie Wrightson themed. Thank you, Carissa, and I will see you next Wednesday, and have a good night. Thank you for coming.